Hey everyone, welcome back to RetroBreak. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of my game room, and in part one here we're actually going to be taking a look at my Nintendo consoles shelf, which is actually over here on this side of the room. So if you can see me here, we're going to take a look at the NES games going all the way down to the Wii there, and also take a look at what's in these boxes here. So let's get started. So here's the NES shelf. As you can see, it needs some rearranging. It's all kind of just stacked up randomly. So what we have here, we have Balloon Fight, which is actually a NES homebrew game, and I actually managed to get this one to work, but there is another one that didn't, so that's actually really cool. There's a few SNES games there which need moving down to the shelf below. There's some of my other games. Let me know in the comments whether you see anything that stands out to you. A lot of these are actually games from my childhood, like Mega Man 4 is a game that I actually grew up with as a kid, same with the original Mario and Excite Bike. And I did actually do a video just on my memories of the NES, so go ahead and watch that after this if you want to know my thoughts about what I thought about these games as a kid. There's a loose instruction manual that needs putting away. Micro Mages is another homebrew game. This one's actually really cool, and the developers did an incredible job getting this to run properly. Tapeworm's another homebrew one, and here's some more of my original childhood classics. And then here we have a bunch of loose games as well, and I would love to get boxes for some of them, especially ones like Castlevania there. I would love to get that in a box. There's a few other cool things there. Kirby's Adventure, that's one that I would like to get boxed as well, and DuckTales, Gradius as well. So eventually I'm looking to kind of sort out these collections and narrow them down a little bit. In fact, I might actually do some videos later on this month. I'm planning to go through some of my collection and narrow the list down to just the games that I really want to display on these shelves. This Pro Protector here, that's actually quite a recent pickup, and because it was a little bit damaged, he actually sold me this for £20, which is pretty incredible really, considering there's just a little scratch there and the front is a little bit water damaged, but once you put it in the protective packaging, it's fine really. There's another homebrew game. I couldn't get that one to work though for some reason, and a few of the Mario games there. And then there's the rest of the games on the NES shelf. So let me know in the comments below which NES games here caught your eye, and also which games you think I should add to my collection as well, because obviously there's a lot that I don't have for the system. Anyway, let's move down to the next shelf, which I think is Super Nintendo, or SNES as I like to call it. So here's the shelf here. Of course, the Super EverDrive is a really useful thing, and I actually use that on the Super NT, which we'll see a little bit later on in the tour. Another game that I got recently that I really need to play is Organise, which is a very rare SNES game, and I found this in a game shop that I didn't even know existed, and it was a local shop as well, so I was super excited to find that. Here's a few other random games, and some of them are in the wrong place. This one's kind of interesting. I actually picked this one up on a clothing website of all things, and this is a collection of Data East games. There's a few Master System games there which need to move into the right place. There's a few other interesting games there. Pinky is kind of a homebrew release, but also kind of not at the same time. And the same with Turrican Director's Cut there as well. Let's see if I can clear some space here. Let's move these down a bit. I really need to sort this shelf out as well, so look forward to a SNES one of these videos coming soon. Lufia 2 is a game that I really need to go back to and finish. That was an incredible RPG, but I've never actually got to the end of it. Same with Chrono Trigger, although I've finished that many times, and I actually got it signed. I know I bring that up every time I do a video about SNES games, but it's just so cool to have. That belongs on the shelf below. Let's put that there and we can get back to that in a second. Kirby's Fun Pack was always one of my favourite SNES games as a kid. In fact, it kind of still is, apart from one game, which is actually on the other side of the room. So here's a look at some of my other SNES games, and a few more N64 ones up there as well. We have Banjo-Tooie, with one of my favourite box arts of all time. I just love how that looks. Ocarina of Time, obviously a classic game. And there's a few more NES games there as well. And Mighty No. 9, which obviously isn't a NES game, but it did come with this NES style box, which is pretty cool, although the game was obviously rubbish, but at least I've got that. There's another homebrew game there, Ronyu's Tale. Dragon Warrior, one of the first ever RPGs that I ever played. And there's a look at the rest of the games on this shelf. Looks like it's kind of a mix of SNES and N64, because there's some N64 games there as well. Some I need to turn around because you can't actually see what they are. It looks like I've never even opened Quake 2, so there's that, and Quake 1 as well. And another homebrew game there, Xeno Crisis. That one was given to me by the developer at a show that I went to. And finally, F1 World Grand Prix, which is a game that my dad used to really enjoy on the N64 back in the day. And like I said, I'm planning to actually rearrange these shelves very soon and do some videos on them, so look forward to that if you want to see me going through my collection and actually sorting out this mess. Anyway, third shelf here, N64. As you can see, there's a lot of loose N64 games going across here and across here on the shelf below as well. So let's have a look at what we've got here. Let's take a few out and then we can flick through them. So they were Pokemon Stadium, Diddy Kong Racing, and one of the many random wrestling games for the N64. So let's see what else we've got here. We have Turok, the original. Obviously a very important and impressive game for the time. Hot Wheels, Turbo Racing, Majora's Mask. I really need to get a box for Majora's Mask. Banjo-Kazooie, one of my all-time favourites. And some of these loose games I do actually need to put away in the boxes. I do actually plan on putting all the games in boxes eventually. It's like Bite 64, really cool game, Pokemon Snap. In fact, I love most of the games for the N64, it's such a good system. Chameleon Twist 2 is a really cool platformer. Mischief Makers, obviously one of the best 2D platformers ever made and one of Treasure's best games. Space Station Silicon Valley, awesome. Another random wrestling game. They're actually really funny because of all the glitches. Ridge Racer 64, great version of Ridge Racer, really enjoy that. The cartridge has definitely seen better days though. Glover, really interesting. Scars, not a huge fan of that, but maybe I need to give it another go. Got that for £8 from Gold Saucer Games. Lilac Wars, obviously a classic. Another copy of Diddy Kong Racing. I'll leave that out, we've got to look into where that's come from. Pokemon Stadium 2, really love the cartridge for that. I love the gold and silver label on the front, and the cartridge itself as well, obviously. Another copy of Banjo-Kazooie. Beetle Racing Adventure, really cool racing game. Tetrasphere, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, really cool game. 1080 Snowboarding, Command & Conquer, very interesting to see an RTS on a home console at the time. Duke Nukem, Yoshi's Story, Buster Move 2, one of the most popular puzzle games of the time. Aero Gauge, a game that I actually think is better than most people give it credit for. Jet Force Gemini, really cool game from Rare, really cool third-person shooter. And Body Harvest, a game from DMA, which obviously went on to become Rockstar, so it's really cool to see where they got their start. And then, as for the boxed games back here, we have Diddy Kong Racing. 2 copies of Perfect Dark, for some reason. Not sure what that one is there. Mortal Kombat, I think. Pokemon Stadium 2. The camera's struggling to focus now. Pokemon Stadium 2 in the box. Clay Fighter, obviously the best game on the system. Not really. It actually got the worst review score ever from one of the magazines that I used to read back in the day. The new Tetris, really cool version of Tetris. In fact, one of the first versions to feature the modern Tetris control scheme. Rogue Squadron, Jet Force Gemini there. Another Tetris game, Magical Tetris Challenge. Not as good, but still cool. Don't know what this one is. Want to take a guess before I pull it out of the shelf? It is Ready to Rumble Boxing. We also have a random NBA basketball game. Donkey Kong 64, probably Rare's worst game. I don't know whether I'll get flack for that in the comments, but I really didn't enjoy DK64 that much. Tonic Trouble is a game that I quite enjoyed though. And the camera is really struggling to focus with these reflections. Let's see if we can see this. There we go, Tonic Trouble, very interesting game. It's actually kind of like a Rayman game, but also not at the same time, and it came out around the same time as Rayman 2, and it was by Ubisoft, so really interesting if you enjoy Rayman and you want to play something a little bit different. Definitely recommend giving that a go. The Hot Wheels games are always really fun. There's Command & Conquer. Castlevania is a game that I actually think is a lot better than what people give it credit for. I actually really enjoy this, and I would love to pick up the sequel as well. So definitely give that a go. Don't listen to everything you hear on the internet. And of course Mario 64 and Mario Kart 64 as well. And then down here we have a random battery and another bunch of N64 games. There's Conker's Bad Fur Day. I remember seeing the box for that up there somewhere. Pilot Wings, one of the best launch games. Let's see what else. There's Star Wars, Mario Kart, Mischief Makers again, Diddy Kong Racing again for the 3rd time. Why have I got so many copies of Diddy Kong Racing? If you're getting a bit bored of F-Zero X, definitely check out Extreme G. Killer Instinct's really good. Twisted Edge is a pretty fun snowboarding game. Obviously nowhere near as good as 1080 Snowboarding, which was Nintendo's effort. Buck Bumble, obviously the game with the world's best intro theme music ever. Another copy of Majora's Mask. I guess I'll put that up there next to that one for now. GoldenEye, obviously a classic. Gex. Mickey Speedway USA, that's a game that I want to play more of. It's one of the only rare games that I haven't properly played. Let's just flick through these. There's one that came out on the Switch recently, Iggy's Wrecking Balls. Actually, a really fun racing style game. Another copy of Stadium 2. There's the original Smash Brothers. Extreme G2, another great game if you don't want to play F-Zero. San Francisco Rush, one of my favourite arcade style racing games ever. And another cool arcade racing game, MCR, Multi Racing Championship. A very short game though, there's only a few tracks on that. Hydro Thunder's really cool. There's another homebrew game, this one was sent over to me by the Retro Room. It's called Big to Small, it's actually quite fun. Robotron 64, an awesome version of Robotron. Kirby 64, a game that I was very excited to find and was on my wish list for a long time before I picked it up. Cruising USA, a game that gets a bad rep, but honestly I don't think it's that bad. Turok Rage Wars, actually the Turok game that I played the most back in the day. There's Xeno Crisis, and there's another copy of Ocarina of Time for some reason. So that was my N64 shelf, and look forward to me organising these and picking some of my favourites and hidden gems in a future video. And now let's move down onto the Gamecube. And we have two shelves of Gamecube games. We have Gamecube games there behind the N64 ones, and then we have a bunch of Gamecube games down here as well. So let's move these loose games out of the way and we can take a look at this Gamecube shelf. I hope you're all enjoying this much more in-depth room tour to normal, because usually I just flick through the shelves really fast, but I thought as I'm actually planning on rearranging a lot of this, I thought I would do this and kind of document everything as it is at the moment, and maybe I'll do another one in a few months' time and you can see how I've narrowed it down a bit. So let's actually move some of these up here to fill the space there. I only fit one. Okay, let's do that. So let's see what we got here on the first Gamecube shelf. We're starting off, we have Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, which is a kind of fun Need for Speed game. Definitely not one of the best though. It feels kind of basic. Two different copies of Mario Sunshine. For some reason, one of them is Australian, and you can tell that because it's actually the other way around. So if you put it that way, the Gamecube logo doesn't line up, and if you put it that way, it doesn't line up as well. They're both PAL versions though. There's Baldur's Gate, if you want to go back in time and play where the series got its start. Really cool game. Metroid Prime, obviously, a classic, and I actually rented this from Blockbuster a lot back in the day. That's why I only have the Player's Choice version, because by the time I got round to buying it, it had already kind of come out. Let's skip forward a bit. Burnout 2, Point of Impact, is actually my favourite arcade-style racing game ever. Really, really love that game. Sonic Mega Collection is the way that I played a lot of the Sonic games back in the day. Shadow the Hedgehog, I will be playing that at some point on Twitch, when I get to 1,000 followers, I think. Doshin the Giant is one of the most interesting games that Nintendo's ever made. Really, really unique game. It was actually originally either going to come out or it did come out on the 64DD. Can't quite remember. I think it did come out on the 64DD as well, and I would love to check out that version. The sequel to 1080 on the N64, 1080 Avalanche, really cool snowboarding game. Very much focused on racing rather than tricks, but I really enjoy it. Wind Waker, obviously an absolute classic. Star Fox Adventures, a game that I want to replay at some point. Let's keep going a bit here. Let's see what else. Pokemon Gale of Darkness. I have a great story with this one. I actually picked it up for 50p when Blockbuster was closing because they priced it wrong and they let me buy it for the rental price. So very happy to have that one as part of the collection. Piano 3 is a really cool game by Konami. Jungle Beat is a game that I haven't actually played much, and I would love to play it some more, so maybe I'll play that and plug in the bongos at some point as well, and we can have a look at how that plays. Freak Style is a really fun game if you like your SSX games, but you want to play them on BMX bikes for some reason. Odama is one of the more interesting games for the Gamecube. This one actually uses the microphone, and you can actually order the troops around on a pinball table, so it's definitely one of the most unique games that I've ever played. For some reason I have a reprinted cover for the collector's edition. I do actually have it as well, so I'm not really sure why I've got that. Sonic Adventure 2, obviously a great game. Beyond Good and Evil, we're still waiting for the sequel and the remake. Come on Ubisoft, what's taking so long? And there's a look at the rest of the games on that shelf for the Gamecube. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about this selection of Gamecube games here. And now let's come down here and take a look at the rest of them. So, Tales of Symphonia, one of the first RPGs that I actually played all the way through, and I really loved every single minute of that game. And a game I didn't love, Max Play, is one of the worst games that I've ever played. It's literally a collection of like the cheapest knockoff arcade style games you've ever seen. So I really don't understand where they were going with that, just trying to make a quick buck, I guess. Let's keep going down. WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games is a great multiplayer game. Pikmin, obviously one of the most interesting games that Nintendo's ever made, and still one of my favourites. And there's a look at some more. There's another copy of Wind Waker there. Wario World kind of gets overlooked, but I think it's a really fun game, and definitely one of the more interesting games that Treasure's ever made. Skies of Arcadia Legends, this one took me a long time to track down as well, but I really loved it when I finally got my hands on it, and I would love to see Sega revisit that series in the future. Simpsons Hit and Run, obviously a classic. A lot of people really, really love this game, and it still holds up really well today as well. So if you kind of like the GTA style gameplay and you want something a bit more fun, definitely check that out. My favourite game in the Need for Speed series, Underground 2. Kirby's Air Ride, obviously a game that people love these days, although back in the day it didn't really have the best reputation, but I think it's really cool, especially in multiplayer. And here's my favourite version of Animal Crossing Population Growing, if you want its full title. A lot of people don't call it that, but that's what I know it as. The original Super Monkey Ball, always a favourite, always a game that I put in and play whenever I don't know what to play. Mario Kart Double Dash, again, probably my favourite game in the Mario Kart series. Cell Damage, a game that I actually made my friends play when they stayed over the other day. Really cool, multiplayer, kind of twisted metal style Mario Kart battle mode kind of game. Really fun, really crazy, over the top characters. Star Fox Assault, another game that I really want to play along with Adventures, so I'll put them two up there for now. Monkey Ball 2, in my opinion, not as good as the first one, but maybe people would disagree with that. SSX on Tour, Time Splitters 2, Sonic Gems, Sonic Riders, really fun racing game, obviously the Game Boy Player disc there. Sonic Heroes, the media launcher, and Smash Brothers. I'm just going to whiz through these now, else this video will take forever. In fact, I might end up splitting this into several parts anyway, and I just dropped a bunch down there. Whoops. And here's the other shelf. Not actually played this one yet. This was a game I was kind of interested to check out, so let me know down in the comments below whether you think I should check this one out. And I've not actually played this one either, Tomb Raider Legends. I got this one fairly recently too. There's Twilight Princess on the Gamecube. Probably until the Wii U version, most people's preferred way of playing the game, because it is the correct way around, and you can actually move the camera separately. And you know, it's the one we were all looking forward to, so I'm really happy to have that. There's a look at some more Gamecube games there. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy is a really fun game. I don't know whether you can see it properly. There we go, let's zoom in a little bit. This was something that I tried to send to someone and it just kept coming back to me. So look at all the notes on there. I don't really know what to do with that. And here's a look at the next shelf here. We have a cheat cart, we have Tony Hawk's, another copy of Billy Hatcher, one of the SSX games there. Dancing Stage Mario Mix, one of the most unique games that Nintendo's ever released. And there's a few more there. There's the actual version of Zelda Collector's Edition, and finishing off with Zoo Cube there as well. And then on this side, we have some shelves with some random games in. This one has a bunch of things that I was testing out on the Analog Pocket. So if you look at my Pocket Adapters video, that's where you'll see all them being used. Here's a look at some of the other stuff. Again, just a random selection of things that I was testing out. I don't really know what to do with these either. These are all things that don't have boxes, so they're just kind of here, and it's something I would like to try and sort out. Here's something interesting. I 3D printed this to actually put some, pin badges on and to stand up on the shelf. And over there at the top, if you can see, I did actually print another one. And there's a random Kirby keyring with food in his mouth, which I think is really fun, and a Game Boy camera. And we have two more shelves here, and then this stack of boxes here full of loose games and random bits and pieces too. So let's move these out of the way and we can look at the Wii games. And I think that'll be it for part one. Okay, so down here is a bit of a mess, as you can see, and I'm not really sure what to do with this corner of the room because obviously it's mostly hidden by those boxes, which I don't really want up here. But anyway, let's come down here and sit on the floor and we can have a look through my Wii collection. There's a lot of games for the Wii here, so I won't spend too long going through all these, but Just for some of the more interesting ones, Rodea, the Sky Soldier, is kind of a late release for the Wii. Technically it's a Wii U game, but it also came with the Wii game as well. So if we open this, you can see it actually has both discs in it, the Wii U game and the Wii game, and the Wii game is actually a lot better and also completely different to the Wii U game. So I've actually turned the cover around to show it as a Wii game, so it sits on the Wii shelf now, even though it's got the blue box, which I wish it was white, but never mind. We also have Wii Play, which was a fun party game. Silent Hill, Shattered Memories, one of my favourite games in the Silent Hill series. Really enjoyed that when it came out. The Last Story, obviously one of the most important releases on the Wii, and I have this really nice steelbook to go along with it. And I also have the collector's editions of all the other Operation Rainfall games, although they came out here normally in the UK, so we were lucky in that regard. Kirby's Epic Yarn, great Kirby game, a little bit easy, but never mind. Knight's Journey of Dreams, a game that I really enjoyed, but I know a lot of people really don't like this one, especially compared to the Saturn game, but honestly, I enjoy both of them. Sonic and Black Knight, I really enjoyed all the Sonic games in that era. Again, a lot of people don't like them, but I really loved them. Mario Kart Wii, I played many hours of that in multiplayer. For some reason I have Tiger Woods. I've never played this game in my life, and it cost me 49p, so I don't know where that came from. So let's put these down here for now to clear out the shelf. Let's see what else we've got. Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, really great game in the Fire Emblem series, one of the first ones that I played actually. Another Sonic game, we have Sonic Unleashed, really cool game. One of the first Final Fantasy games that I actually played all the way through to the end, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Obviously, it's very different to a lot of other games in the series, but I didn't really know much different back then. Wario Land: The Shake Dimension, definitely one of Nintendo's more interesting 2D platformers, and it has really nice graphics. I don't know whether it can come through on the camera very well there, but they really did look incredible. No More Heroes 2, I love the No More Hero games. I love the No More Heroes games, and this one was really good. I haven't played the third one though, so I need to change that soon. Really enjoyed this too, along with the Gamecube version. Punch Out was really fun, especially using the balance board, and the same with Shaun White as well. Really enjoyed playing them with the balance board. Don't need to talk about Wii Sports, we all know what Wii Sports is. Skyward Sword, obviously an amazing game, if you can get used to the controls anyway. Baroque is an interesting one. I picked this one up from MCM a long time ago. It's kind of a dungeon crawler with a really unique atmosphere. I didn't really like this one very much, Need for Speed Carbon. Kind of disappointed in it. SSX Blur, again, didn't really like it that much, especially compared to the older SSX games. So let's move these out of the way, let's see what else there is here. And I haven't looked at my Wii collection for a long time, so this is kind of interesting to see. Twilight Princess, the first game I got for the system, obviously, like I'm sure a lot of people. Got that one on launch day, really loved it. Here's my favourite way of playing Pikmin, new play control. Secret Rings has seen better days, I don't know what's happened to that. I really enjoyed that game, and again with another code R, really enjoyed this one, and I'm very glad that it's got a remake now on the Switch too. Not played this one yet. Let me know what you guys and girls know about this game, Obscure 2. I remember in the Nintendo magazine back in the day they said it was pretty good. There's the original No More Heroes, a fighting game that I enjoyed a lot more than most people, Castlevania Judgment. Sakura Wars, a game that I played at uni in first year and really enjoyed it. My first and only experience with the Sakura Wars series. I don't know why this is here, Back for Blood Steelbook, that needs to go downstairs. Rune Factory Frontier, didn't really play that one as much as I would have liked. And there's Red Steel as well, apparently for 99p. I wonder if you can still get it for 99p. And here's a look at what's behind here. Here's another one of the Steelbooks. This one is for Pandora's Tower. Really great game. If you love third-person action games, this is definitely one of the best there is. Really cool. Let's see what else is here. Klonoa for the Wii. Incredible remake of the PS1 game. I love the graphics. Oh, and I just threw it off the shelf. I love the graphics of this one so much. Just look how nice and colourful that is. It really does look incredible. Kirby's Adventure, not as good as the other Kirby game for the Wii, in my opinion. Deadly Creatures was really interesting. I actually really enjoyed this one. Another third-person action game, but you actually play as like a scorpion or a snake or a spider and things. It's just really unique. One of the Wii exclusive versions of Need for Speed. This one's actually very different to what you could get on the PS3 and 360. Blastworks is interesting. It's actually a build your own shoot 'em up, which is very unique. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, obviously great games. I don't know why all these are upside down. I need to fix that as well. Here's the next shelf. Disaster Day of Crisis was a cool game. The Conduit has definitely the best graphics on the Wii, in my opinion. Or I guess the Conduit 2 does, but they really did look very, very impressive. Almost looks on par with a 360 or PS3 game. Monster Hunter Tri, my first experience with the Monster Hunter series, and honestly, I didn't really get the hype. I played it for a few hours and I was like, yeah, this is just too drawn out and I want to play more games. Like Trackmania, that was one of my favourites, and for some reason they're all upside down too. Red Steel 2, big improvement over the first Red Steel game. Excite Truck, I really loved that one too. There's another Shaun White game there. GT Pro Series is a really cool racing game. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, obviously a classic. Why is it taking so long for the next one to come out? And I just want to show this one off underneath Metroid Prime Trilogy. Metroid Other M, the Japanese version, because the box for this is awesome. Look how cool that is. Like, compare that to our one. That's how it looked for us. This is what Japan got, and I don't know whether I can do this with one hand, but when you open it, there we go. And that's what it looks like inside. So basically when you put this on, the helmet goes over her visor like that. It's just so cool. And you've got the normal version on the other side. So really, really great packaging. I just love the Japanese version. And down here, let's move that and that out of the way. I won't spend too much time looking at these ones, but here's another look at the rest of the Wii games on the bottom shelf. And I will do a separate video about my Wii collection and sorting through these in more detail in the future. So subscribe if you want to see that. And yeah, let me know what some of your favourite games are for the Wii, which ones you think I'm missing. For some reason, Sonic Adventure 2 Battles down there. That needs to go up there with the Gamecube games. Here's a bunch more. Again, I'll do a separate video. Some of the ones that stand out, Sin and Punishment is incredible. What a great deal for 20 quid as well. Got a lot of enjoyment out of that. There's a random letter there. And here's the rest of the Wii games. So I'll put these ones back on the shelf and then we can take a look at those boxes behind me, and that will be it for part one. And then we can cover the rest of the room in some future episodes. So let's put all this back for now. Okay, let's take a look in the first one of these boxes. This has all my loose Snes games in, and like I said, I would love to try and get boxes for some of them. So there's my original Snes console, as you can see, extremely yellowed, and it also has switches on the back for PAL to NTSC and 50 to 60 Hertz as well. But I don't really use that anymore. Like I said, I now use the Super NT. And I think I'll save this for a proper video when I'm actually going through my entire Snes collection, but there's just so much. There's a few random Mega Drive games in there as well. Yeah, here's what's in the first one of them boxes, and that one also has a bunch of loose Snes games in as well. This one also has some American ones too, so we have a few here. But yeah, I would love to do something to be able to sort through this or to display it a bit better, because there are some obviously really good games in here and they're just kind of lost in this box. Paladin's Quest's a really interesting SNES RPG. Sparkster as well, one of my favourite platformers for the system, but I just can't really get to them because they're all just stuck in here. So that's what was in the first box. Let's see what was in this one. This one's got a load of DS cases as well, because I didn't have any space to store them. And then under there, you can see there's all SNES games in there as well, and Famicom as well. A lot of Japanese games in this box, I think. So I'll need to sort through these at some point and see how I can actually display these, or I don't know what to do. Like, some of these games I want on display, like Rockman 5, I would like that to be out. But yeah, Japanese version of Terranigma. But yeah, it's kind of a shame that they're all just squashed in here, so I would love to try and do something to be able to get them out. So that was the second box. And the third one, I won't really bother going into. It's just full of random boxes and stuff. So that was it for part one. That was my Nintendo shelves collection. Join me next week for part two, when we can take a look at this shelf here and this shelf here, which is all of my homebrew games on here, and mostly Japanese games on that one. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon for more game collecting goodness. If you want to check out my video from last year in the meantime, then click up there and watch my tour for 2023. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.